Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the desk. We've got a 3 out of 4. We're on our number 3 match here today. As far as the North American SPL is concerned, we're going to see Enemy take the stage one more time. And just like we saw them in week number 1, they will be without their star player PandaCat. Instead, it'll be longtime substitute Fearno stepping in for the young Ukrainian.
And to be honest, Fearno is a great player in the hunter position, but unfortunately, like having that substitute disrupts your dynamic in general as a team, especially such a team as Enemy, who rely on such aggressive pressure in the early game. They lean on it quite heavily, being led by PainDeViande, and that's disrupting them earlier.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a point of conversation to mention that the team is missing PandaCat. And, you know, when it comes down to it, Fearno is certainly an accomplished player in and of his own right. He practices with the team from time to time, even when PandaCat's around, just to make sure that the reps are there. It's all well and good. I think he's functioned very well. If you look at the VODs, I think he's done pretty fine for Enemy. But the problem here, in my opinion, is that Enemy has excelled. PandaCat has stepped into a superstar role. He's really become one of the big boys on campus. And with him missing, you certainly feel that lack of spotlight in the long lane for Enemy. They'll be going head-to-head against ALG, who do have their full roster here. And it should be an interesting one, to say the least.
And they've been kind of growing throughout this split. They've been led by Weekend and Incon, the two veterans that have been playing together for quite a while. MLC Stealth, who took a break, but now is back in the mid-roll. Venenu and Cope are the two new ones coming out of ALG.
And Venenu, big eyes on him as we get into picks and bans. Venenu will be the one going head-to-head versus Fearno in PandaCat's absence. And Venenu has really stepped up to be one of the stronger rookies, I think, in this year's rookie class. We've got 11 in total spread across North America and Europe. And for the fall split rookies, I think Venenu has definitely put himself in the front of the charge.
He's definitely shown a lot of promise and eagerness to want to be at this level, especially being led by Weekend and Incon. This should allow him to really flourish a lot. Being paired up in that dual lane with such a seasoned support has some good potential. Right.
And by no means does streaming and doing the whole content thing, does that make you a better player? By no means is that a true statement. In fact, if you spend too much time focusing on your branding or whatnot, maybe you can even work in the opposite direction. But you heard Jeff in the interview right before. Hey, shout outs to my team. They've been streaming and playing the game so much. It's been a lot of work, and that's the key. When you're streaming and doing that push, at the very least, you are playing the game a lot. And Venenu has come forward and has done the streaming thing and the YouTube thing a lot, pretty much from the get-go. So he's showing that, hey, I don't mind playing this game forever, and he's certainly showing in his Pro League performance.
Some people react differently depending on how many hours you put into the game. We've seen a lot of players get burned out too frequently. Some of them, you know, calling it quits from the spring split to the fall split specifically, just getting burnt out.
Exactly, and nobody will be getting burned out as Soul is going to be banned out today. I'll give myself points for that one. Enemy finished their first round of picks with Janus, Kuang, and Ravana, and ALG will head in a different direction, a little bit more tanky. Erlang, Shen next to Susanor, with their last pick rounding out to be Nuwa. So an interesting mid laner, but certainly an MLC brand mid lane nonetheless.
I like the Nuwa pick because this composition from Enemy screams Enemy because of how aggressive they are. With this Janus for Chaos, they're going to be going all in. On top of this, you have Ravana for Marauder, so he's going to try to win his solo lane matchup. It's going to be difficult against Erlang Shen, but that's the goal in general.
And with respects to Enemy, Janus is a character that, you know, after a performance at, not DreamHack, yes,
Epsilon.
DreamHack, but also at Epsilon Land, a lot of people thought we'd never see Chaos's Janus again because it was too damn good. But with a lot of things necessary to ban, Janus is definitely a first pick for Enemy.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the Fafnir or Nemesis if you're the second pick. So that's something that Enemy recognizes, and they don't hesitate right off the bat to take this Janus. Now, Athena being banned away from Allegiance, I like that because paired up with the Janus and the Kuang, it's something that Pain really likes to do. Look for those frontline aggressive plays, even taking Guan Yu away from Pain.
And that's why we see the Odin ban as well for Team Allegiance. Odin is pretty much the yin to Guan Yu's yang, so you want to take that out of the situation. Khepri will be the guardian of choice for Enemy. A guy that does very well when he's trying to protect his players for going a little bit too aggressive. And, well, like you said, Totally, that's exactly what Enemy have here. They've crafted a lineup that will make them be very aggressive. The Janus, the Kuang, the Ravana, even the Jing, a character that likes to bounce around all different sides of sort of the team fight. And Khepri and Janus will both help their players from going too crazy.
But it is Fearno instead of PandaCat, so he's going to have to make the necessary adjustments to adapt to this aggressive enemy mentality and play style. So having the Jing should give him the mobility to try to catch up to these targets using the Janus threshold as well as the portals. Xingwei, late game, if enemy can get there, I'm really liking their composition.
Exactly. I absolutely love it. A lot of cohesion. You can see where each piece sort of fits into the puzzle. Team Allegiance, they've got a good look as well. Chronos will be the hunter of choice, or at least by namesake alone. Chronos next to the Guan, and then of course Erlang Shen making himself into the short lane on Cope. So Venenu on the magical hunter. And we'll see Shattered on this Kuang. Shattered is a scary player with a scary sense of aggression on a scary character with a scary aggression reward system in its playstyle. This is a situation that I think should be avoided at many costs, giving Shattered an Kuang. We'll see how it works out in practice.
I honestly expect Shattered to aggress into the soul lane repeatedly over, which is why there was the Kuang and the Ravana picked at the same time. It seems that Marauder really likes to, exchange some trades in the soul lane early on, especially playing the Ravana. You can easily get somebody low enough to allow Shattered to make this rotation.
And even with the Erlang Shen heal, I mean, it's a delayed heal. It takes a long time to get there. It's not like a meditation where you get aggressed on by an Kuang and you can get out of execute range. Once you're at 30%, you're going to be eaten by the dragon. You don't really have time to wait for that heal to come online. So definitely a lot of eyes in the solo lane if you are Shattered himself wanting to make mincemeat out of Cope. But as far as Allegiance is concerned, who are they focusing? Well, I don't think it's going to be Marauder.
Well, Allegiance is definitely focused on this Kuang because already, right off the bat, Incon going for the purification, making sure that he's not going to be executed.
And I like when supports go the purification. Obviously, you want things like Shell and Wrath and Sprint and even Frenzy, these team fight-oriented picks. But when it comes down to it, if you're dead, you're not going to provide anything to your team. And Guan Yu has now the Conviction heal is a team fight, not relic, but ability. So you sort of use purification, keep yourself alive, to allow yourself to use the team fight ability in the heal. So Guan Yu, a little bit more complicated, but at the end of the day, that sustain is going to be a big deal for Allegiance and the Guan player.
It also allows you to use cavalry charge aggressively, and that's more you relying those crowd control immunities to survive against the execute Shattered coming from the backhand side with Chaos.
Yeah, this is dangerous for the guys on Allegiance, already below half HP. Shattered looking towards MLC stealth. No ultimate available this early in the game, only level 3. Blink forward, damage is done. Weaken takes out the jungler before his mid laner falls. The race to the bottom is complete, and Allegiance to the first on the board.
A little bit of miscommunication between Chaos and Shattered. There was a wave coming in the mid wave, and Chaos prioritizing that instead of going for the early first blood. It was a nice idea going onto Stealth, who's a new player, early on without the ultimate, no escape possible, but early wave is important at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Nua is very susceptible at level 2. Even level 3, depending on where the players are going to put their talent points. If you don't have that minion burst combo right away, you don't really have an exit button. And it's a wonky exit button at that. Your ultimate really the only true one, and that's at level 5. So take advantage of the early game Nua. I love the choice, but enemy not combining as a unit there. Chaos staying in the lane, and Weaken and MLC able to combine for the first blood in the jungle.
Marauder playing very aggressive in the soul lane, hugging Cope's tower. That could be allowing Weaken, who just hit level 5, to make this rotation on the right-hand side.
Meanwhile, Weaken could also do the same thing on the left side. Enemy pushing Venenu and friends very deep underneath the tower, but it'll be the right side. Marauder grabbed by Weaken. Very low is the jungle, so I don't know how hard Allegiance want to commit to this. There's the taunt in, the ultimate out of Susanor. Couple more shots will secure it, but the turnaround comes first. Marauder takes a shot before he falls down. 2 kills in total for Allegiance.
And now Shattered with a counter rotation, trying to find the execute threshold. His ultimate is available. Unstable Vortex not on the mark, and Cope should be able to walk away after the root.
A rare miss coming out of Chaos leaves Shattered empty-handed there, and Allegiance are able to pick up the kill off of the counter and off the counter kill from the gank. Marauder keeping his mind to his money, understanding he was going to fall down, but taking out the enemy first. Very smart play coming out, Cope from the Allegiance solo lane.
And now Marauder, having the ultimate still available off of this rotation, could still play aggressive without Cope's ultimate being available.
Exactly. Cope could head back home. He does have that teleport available, so should be back relatively soon. In fact, immediately. So nothing really gained nor lost there. on the right-hand side. This matchup, Ravana versus Erlang Shen, both of these guys are really big bullies.
Especially with Weekend coming in, Marauder forced to use the defensive ultimate. I like the pressure from Weekend. Like you mentioned, both of them are bullies. So whatever jungler makes the rotation first is going to allow this kind of blue buff invade style.
So expect a lot of rotations from the jungle specific over here onto the right side. Like I said, enemy was commanding the left side lane as well, sitting on the enemy tower, but neither jungler really wanted to rotate over there because it was a much different situation than the solo.
Not having the ultimate as well from Janus prevents the counter rotation like we saw previously.
Right.
And now Cope stealing the blue, gonna find his own blue, should extend his advantage slightly further, hitting level 8, probably alpha this.
Ravana is a character, the blue buff is helpful. Some characters work, when it comes down to the solo lane, basically what I'm getting at is some characters need blue more than others. I think Chaac can get away without getting a blue buff. Sun Wukong and mages absolutely need it. Where does Ravana fall in the world of blue buff necessity?
He doesn't necessarily need the blue buff, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to poke the way he wants to in between the waves, which is pretty important for a Ravana player. But against Erlang Shen, it's very risky trying to go for poke against him because he's going to negate some of that poke using the turtle for that shield health bonus. And on top of that, he can look for the long distance poke.
And don't forget, there's a lot of heal options on the side of Erlang Shen, and a lot of kill options as well. Taunt into the tornado, and Cope winds up with a kill.
Pretty clean strategy coming out of Allegiance already. It seems that they've been really practicing this Erlang Shen Susanor combo. The pull from Weekend initiates the damage from Cope as well, allowing Ravana to run away without his ultimate on top of that, finding an easy Taunt Typhoon combination.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, worst case scenario, we saw it earlier on. Weekend gets the long range, the dot on the character, teleports to it, pulls into the taunt, into the damage, and it's a very bad situation for whoever's on the other side of that. So Weekend and Cope really making this work. Weekend and Cope, worth noting, ALG had a podcast put out by themselves a while ago and talked a little bit about Cope's new participation on the team. And Weekend and Cope know each other outside of the game. They have for a long time. And so that expecting that synergy to really be a big part of how Allegiance finds their wins.
That's really important for Weekend because that's the way he has established himself coming into the Smite Pro scene. His ability to just synergize so well with Cyclone Spin, having that kind of mentality between your solo and jungler is very important to try to control the pace of the game early on, because if you're like 2-3 levels ahead coming from solo, now you're putting pressure in middle on top of this, and you're preventing the enemy mid jungler from getting their own buffs.
Exactly, just a little bit of flex. A little bit of flexing over here on the side of the Allegiance guys this time around. Weekend and his friends.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah. Because they were called flex before Allegiance.
Exactly. You know, it's worth saying, though, with Laz's retiring and Matty Pocket also taking a step away from the pro scene for now, they have said that it's not quite Team Flex anymore. It's a different identity here for Team Allegiance, but the identity, the results seems to be the same. A lot of poke over there in the solo lane, and finally, enemy going to respond in kind. Attention over here to the Gold Fury, very low, 25% or less, and the first Gold Fury of the game will get stolen. Allegiance take it right away from enemy.
Great recognition, nice play by Incon. Through space and time was used, threshold on top, but it seems enemy doesn't want to commit quite yet. Instead, electing to rotate towards middle. Nuwa should be safe under the tier 1 tower. I like the mindset that enemy has, like constantly putting pressure onto the solo lane means like you're leaving the dual lane exposed, but they didn't have the burst necessary to really secure that Gold Fury.
Right, we saw Khaos use through space and time after the Gold Fury had already fallen. You know, those situations, a lot of times we'll see the players sort of step away, make way for, all right, they're aggressing. There's no Wrath available, so we can't just snag it like that. And really when it comes down to it, the only good secure enemy really have of the Gold Fury is the Khaos ultimate, and he didn't use it until after the fact. So just kind of coin flipped it, and Allegiance wind up killing the last hit.
And now Allegiance, they've just been on top of it. With these rotations in the solo lane, it allows Cope already with a 2-level advantage over Marauder. He should be now at a point where he can solo invade these blue buffs, and now we can start putting pressure mid and duo, where there hasn't been much action this game yet.
Exactly. So much attention being paid over to that solo lane, and enemy finally, like I said, they finally respond. Despite the fact that the enemy don't get the Gold Fury, they make the right choice. When there's so much presence over there on the right side of the map, counteract that weight. Triple beam balance. Enemy comes through and tries to make the play on the left side because of the obvious numbers advantage. But the Erlang Shen was able to make the rotation and secure the objective.
And now with this rotation from Allegiance, they recognize Go Fury's down. We could keep putting pressure onto the soul lane. Blue buff has respawned for both of us. Erlang Shen picking it up for himself. And this could be a potential invade. There's 3 members around this blue.
Yeah, but you can see enemy going for it first. They have the same idea that you do, totally. They know that Allegiance want to get a little bit crafty. So Allegiance is going to go ahead and take away their own buffs before anybody can really say anything about it.
Enemy, they're gonna reset what Pain, making the rotation to solo just to absorb some of the farm, the support from enemy. 1 level higher than Marauder.
And I actually really like the presence of Pain over here on the right side, or excuse me, Pain on the right side. Marauder's been shut down pretty much the entirety of the early game, which is when Ravana really wants to do his thing, be that early to mid-game bully. Hasn't been able to do so, but Fearno's been fine. So the shift for the support over there for just a couple of waves, making Allegiance sort of walk away and breathe a little bit, deterring the invade that you were talking about just by showing numbers alone.
That's true. You have to try to alleviate the pressure because there's a 2-level deficit. Guan, you're going to force out the dash from Pain. He wants to basically trade ultimates.
And force out the fight. Enemy are here way bigger numbers than enemy on the other side. Marauder in some trouble, going to dash through, looking for Cope, surrounded, but there's help from Khepri on the other side. Cope very low, going to be helped out by his own Guan. Has to find a way out.
He was in-handing the whole time. Cope had no fear. He got the sustain off from his ultimate. Beautiful recognition. So now Allegiance, they walk away with a speed buff invade. So great pressure. They slowly and surely snowballing off of their early jungle.
And that was an interesting play by Allegiance because they walk into enemy's jungle and enemy had the numbers. It was a 2.5. The third player, Cope, was sort of waiting in the wings. It was a 2-player into 4-man initiation, and enemy didn't really want to take a part of it. A lot of split DPS, and then like you said, Cope just really fighting down to the last HP of his pool was able to make that impact.
And now Cope having meditation, just hitting level 12. This team fights for Allegiance are about to break open wide as Khaos, is able to hit the unstable vortex through the wall. We can take in a spill, getting caught awkwardly 1v3.
And that's that one will make up for the other one in the right side lane where Cope was able to get away. The unstable vortex through the wall to shut down a player. All right, Khaos, we see you.
Marauder still getting bullied by Cope, but Shattered in response off of the kill, immediately capitalizing with the red. This is what you have to do to get back into the game. Now Khaos thinking about possibly rotating, but he's just going to grab the right side mids.
That solo out Kuang red buff invade. Not exactly the safest thing in the world. You won't see that too often. But again, that's for the information shared by enemy, letting their jungler know, hey, everybody's over here on the right-hand side, and Khaos able to go and pick up his own.
It's just a seasoned experience from Shattered. Having the mindset of the aggression from Pain originally has matured him enough to make this kind of play by himself without Wrath on top.
Which is really cool. A lot of our conversation about enemy has been this sort of top-down direction where Pain barks the orders and everybody follows suit. That is still very much so the way that the game is structured. That is how enemy is structured. But when it comes down to it, we've seen her, Khaos and everybody, as Marauder chased out on the right-hand side, really give Shattered a lot of credit. He's really turned into, and to use your choice of words, matured into this player that can make these intelligent calls.
It's despite being so young on top. He's about 15 or 16, something like that.
One of our youngest players.
Very similar to Marauder. As I think Marauder is probably 2 months older than him.
Yeah, the Marauder and Shattered are 2 of our youngest players, separated by just a month or so. Fearno going to be separating himself from a player by his knock-up ability and makes his way back into lane.
We haven't really talked about this dual lane matchup because of how much action there's been in the solo lane, but between Jing and Chronos, very quietly, patiently farming, no kills or deaths or assists for either of these two, not electing to box each other. As we look at the player damage, they're both at the very low end side of it.
Yeah, Jing is a character that I feel like surprisingly is late game oriented with the built-in crit.
And on top of that, you're trying to find more CC between Pain finding the pull. On top of the pull, you drop the Gust, which is going to continue up the knockup to allow the rest of enemy to get the damage off on that one single target.
So when it comes to that long lane, I mean, both hunters are very just content sitting there farming. Venenu's going to sit there and say, hey, I'm a Chronos with a Doom Orb. I'm down to sit here till 20 minutes. And Fearno's like, hey, I want to get my crit online. I'm down to sit here for 20 minutes. Not a big deal. Both players definitely want to find the kill, specifically onto the Chronos Doom Orb, but neither player willing to really take that risk because of all the pressure around the other side of the map. Should one of them fall in the 1v1 scenario, it's easily a free tower at maybe the very least. I think then you start looking into the red buff invade on top of the tower as well. So the stakes are very high over there should a 1v1 go down in the left lane.
And preparing for these team fights already. Aussie for the side of the Jing, whereas Chronos is going for the wing blade. But looking at the soul lane matchup, still electing to be bullies. No rotations being made. So this is just a straight up man fight between the two. Cope's teleport is available, whereas Marauder still has about 30 seconds on his.
I mean, we've got a lot of sustain on the side of those two players, right? There's a little bit of heal on the side of them, and then you've got your physical defense already built up. Cope even already has the meditation. Double med for Allegiance. Certainly a strategy that some people enjoy. I mean, Enemy has played double med in the past and really enjoyed it.
Enemy's looking to play aggressive. Pain was looking to possibly find a pull, but he's left alone, electing to just position himself with a nice ward on the top left mid Harpies. Gonna back off. Gold Fury still available. Both teams very patient right now. Basically even game.
Yeah, Allegiance understand how often Enemy want to go for the Gold Fury, and Enemy understand that as well. And this might open up that situation. PainDeViande in some trouble, forced to ultimate himself, walks through the portal, giving him to him by his longtime mid laner, Khaos. Saves out Pain.
Enemy trading out one ultimate just from Pain for the two onto Legions on Incon and Weaken. So the team fight should favor Enemy if they can find the abilities hit.
And this is what I mentioned. The gank over there on the left side dual lane was to open up the window for the Gold Fury. When there's less people around, obviously, less people to say no. In fact, there are 0 people to say no. Excellent pressure provided by Allegiance's team. Push the players out of the left side of the map and then open the Gold Fury to go free. Is our first lead of the game, folks. Allegiance now leading by about 2K, a little bit less, 1,500.
It's not that much, though, because experience-wise, it's basically even. These two teams are very even when it comes to the jungle fights right now. As long as that Enemy can capitalize off of their numbers advantage, whether it's actual players or actual ultimates, they should be at the better end of it. They just haven't pulled the trigger quite yet.
And Allegiance now in a position to go ahead and pull the trigger now that they've got a little bit of a lead, right? That'll be a little bit of an item here or there on most of their players, looking for that next big power spike to go take it head-to-head against Enemy.
Enemy gonna look to play aggressive with PainDeViande leading the charge. They know that the cavalry charge is still not available. Gonna want to force these purifications, but electing to just casually push out the way. But in the dual lane, Fearno taking a lot of poke, forced to use the ulti.
Forced to get away from the Chronos, but here's the rotation from the rest of Enemy. Rewind is going to put Khaos in a bad spot. Excuse me, Chronos in a bad spot, but Enemy not looking for the follow-up.
Electing to just wait it out because there's a rotation from the Guan Yu. They don't want to overextend. Guan Yu has the shell, has some heals on top. It's very difficult to really find the kill. And on top of that, you're waiting for Fearno to come back off of his passive before you want to commit. Now this could be a time you commit, but Khaos is electing to back instead.
Yeah, the Guan Yu, a little bit scary. I think it's more about who's behind the Guan Yu. In this case, there was 0 players, so it looks like a strange scenario, but the next rotation, there'll be somebody behind Guan Yu. Now you're in a 3-on-2 situation, and it's a Khepri and a Janus, not something you really want to fight your way into.
And looking at the wards, there's not that many on the dual lane side for Enemy, so they don't know who was behind the Guan Yu. Like you mentioned, it could have been Weaken at any time, but Weaken's looking to counter gank in the soul lane instead.
Cope uses the taunt out of the ultimate, and he's going to find his way into the turtle form as well. But before the heal comes on, in fact, just before the heal comes on, Shattered goes up. Shattered looking to play a little bit aggressive, but not aggressive enough to go underneath the tower. Instead, Enemy going to wrap around 4 players deep on the right-hand side. Venenu making his face shown as well. Solo lane in trouble. Susanor has tossed out his ultimate. Will push the minions away, but like I said, 4 players deep on the side of Enemy. They're here in the solo lane looking for a tier 1.
Perfect separation, avoiding the multiple knockup from the Typhoon, and that's not really easy to do to separate yourselves. Now trading tier 1 for tier 2, mid for right. Gonna have a rotation from Khaos. He's gonna want to try to use through space and time and maybe chase down these members from ALG.
It might be the choice, but Khaos still holding on to his ultimate for now. Shattered and Jing waiting. There's the knockup over the wall. Well played by Venenu. Shattered can't find the kill just yet. 2-on-2, third player from Allegiance wrapping around. There's the aggression coming out from the guys, and Incon gonna jump right up on the horse, looking for 2. There's a pull right on back. PainDeViande, he's stunned out, and it's a 3-on-3. Ultimate out of Khaos right down the middle. Problems as Allegiance make the rotation from the left-hand flank. Watch that side as Enemy push forward. And Allegiance able to play defense. Great flank from them coming on the left side to push enemy off of the fight.
The problem is Shatter doesn't have that much mana, so he's basically out of this team fight with a sustain from Incon. This favors ALG very heavily. They're going to continue the aggression. Marauder, his ultimate is available, going to jump on over. Could have potentially taken the portal, but it was used at the same time.
So now with the enemy pushed out to the right side, Allegiance will take everything that they can, which will just be the blue buff, which is spawning now. In fact, Allegiance might have even walked past it. So nothing in the jungle for Allegiance to gain right there as they walk right past the blue buff.
Nothing gained, nothing lost on either team, realistically. Just waiting it out. Goldfury respawning in about a minute. And this is a spot where ALG, they have the timer of the gold. They need to be able to ward very aggressively and look for another sneak.
And again, no enemy vision. By enemy, I mean the blue team, not your enemy. The first vision coming down right now around the Gold Fury. Allegiance going to get invaded on. There's Shattered blinking forward, dealing damage to Weaken. In fact, dealing a lot of damage to Weaken. Meditation coming out of the jungler, and Purification saves the execute. But Khaos from a distance puts number 4 on the board with the ultimate.
Weaken walking back into it. Now Shattered using the ultimate from the Khepri. Doesn't have enough damage to really get it off in time, so it's getting another kill onto Venenu before the rewind, not respecting the burst.
And the enemy wind up with 2 kills in that team fight. Khaos with an absolute highlight play, and Shattered, he got shut down on the first ultimate, but able to finish the deal with a kill later on in the team fight. And enemy, this will give them the tier 1 tower. Gold Fury not up just yet, spawning now, but Allegiance will have the respawn in their favor, so unlikely a free Gold Fury going the way of enemy despite their fight. Wow, what a shot from Khaos.
That's the Chaos that we know. That's
Man.
the Chaos that enemy knows, and that's the reason they first picked Janus for Chaos right there.
Absolutely. Like I said, we saw the early ugly unstable, then he finds one through a wall, and then he finds an ultimate through many walls. I mean, that's the Chaos we're born and bred to see.
The Kambe Matumbo, the wag, the finger
no,
wag. No.
Incon's here, ready to fight. No wrath. No gold.
This time it's enemy sneaking the gold behind. Allegiance is back. Granted, though, they were still coming back from their respawn, so it's not really a sneak. They forced
Exactly. I thought the respawn was going to take a little bit longer. Not the case. Fight to the backside jungle. Weaken and Khaos combining. A lot of damage.
Still hitting one member. The ultimate from Nua was forced in the back, and now Marauder forced to be peeled by Incon, getting pulled on top. Gonna not find the root, not a pull either. Gonna be a disengage, but Shadow's going in.
Very weird fight over here as Susanor throws the ultimate right on through. Shattered very low. Has to go ahead and try to escape. Ultimate from Khepri put on him right there. The enemy in disengage is in full effect. Stun not gonna find anybody. And a good knockup puts Cope in a better spot, honestly. Now looking towards Marauder. Half HP on the solo lane. Khaos looking for the unstable vortex. Will hit 1. Still trying to find more damage. Here's Allegiance. Great stun coming out for the guys on ALG. And Marauder knocked up and almost dead. Put down by Cope. Well done. Solo on top of a solo. Still not done yet. Chasing out Khaos. Left side is fine. Right side, different story.
Pain's forced to disengage. Great zoning by Fearno. Forced to use the ultimate right before the stun from the Clay Golems. Not able to find the root of his Cope. But Venenu looking to dive the tower. Pain gonna take a lot of damage. Pulled back in, not enough damage to secure the kill, but he's not done.
Weaken dives the tower, takes out the support, and General Pain falls down. 5 kills in total for Allegiance with a huge invade on the back Harpies and a tier 2 tower. You know, that team fight started, I said something very interesting. I said Khaos and Weaken combining. There are different teams, totally. How do they combine? What I meant was Khaos threw all his damage forward, Weaken threw all his damage forward, and I thought that was that. Everybody was going to retreat. Instead, full-on aggression, just like on this Phoenix, and Allegiance want to take the unlikely fight. Incon low, healing himself up, Guan Yu providing the sustain, Phoenix still alive, but just barely.
Khaos is going to fall. Cope doing a great job diving the Phoenix. Marauder.
Venenu,
though, finding Shattered in the back, trading his own life for it. The Phoenix, however, still alive, but Cope, he wants to grab it so badly, he's going to dive it.
Yeah, and Venenu put on a fantastic show right there, taking out 2 players. Emil's Stealth got credit for the second kill, but Venenu took him down from 100 to 10%, getting himself the virtual double kill. Enemy, they lose their mid-Phoenix very quickly, 22 minutes, and that was off of a team fight that I thought was a retreat.
the red buff invade that you mentioned before. Unfortunately for enemy, they used through space and time around the red buff aggressively, trying to get some kills instead of looking for the escape. Every time a team invades red, speed, blue, whatnot, you have to have a safe escape option. But knowing enemy, they like to play aggressive with this Janus, so it didn't really work out for him that time around.
So was that one play, was that one Janus ultimate the reason
Yes.
Elitist was able to come back down?
Yeah, because they had no escape potentially afterwards. I mean, they have the threshold, but they consistently thought that they could keep winning these team fights, so they just overextended just 10 seconds too long.
Well, hot damn. Allegiance find themselves up 2,000 gold. That was the longest run back. PainDeViande, well, Sega's in a little bit of trouble, is putting it lightly. He'll be safe under his tower, but surrounded by two. Probably could have committed to that, but that was, you'll see the turnaround run back, right? Where they chase each other across the map. You'll see that go for half the map. That went from back Harpies on Allegiance's side to enemies mid-Phoenix. That was a full map chase down. Gotta love that.
I mean, they found the Khepri during the tier 2 mid tower. If they didn't find Pain right then and there, then I would say definitely a great hold from enemy.
Yeah.
But just good aggression overall from ALG.
And it's not going to stop. ALG still pushing the buttons. Incon pushing down, looking for the stun. Shattered on the right-hand side, half HP. Still continuing. There's a great stun and a better pull-in from Susanor. Incon surrounded, falls in the portal. No follow-up damage. Allegiance dealing all the damage. Shattered looking for Incon, very low, but the heal is stronger. Up and down, no execute. Marauder forced to ult on the backside will be met by Cope. Everybody up on the top side. Weaken getting dashed through. Shattered taking down Weaken.
Finally finding one kill, and now Marauder very low, gonna get zoned out by Cope. Diving the tier 1 tower for Fearno is Venenu, but has to be careful because Stealth has to retreat. You only have 2 more members available, utilizing the Guan Yu sustain to their advantage. Allegiance, they slightly come behind this team fight, only losing 1, but they're not out of it. Realistically, enemy can't get fire off this.
Enemy are still pushing forward. They want to take this team fight. PainDeViande ultimate still online, so somebody still gets a free life. You can see Cope has his ultimate available. Incon just got his cavalry charge back up, but enemy, they can make this push. They still have the safety. PainDeViande ultimate, but not going to be the case.
I thought ALG had that team fight from the get-go. That was a great typhoon by Week and dissecting the team fight into 2 different parts. The sustain overall from Allegiance, having those 2 meditations, having Guan Yu on top of this, makes it very much in their favor. But look at this, through space and time used, trying to find Cope.
And it's just going to be for transportation this time. Cope gets surrounded, able to knock a couple players up, but it's a 4-on-2 totally. Enemy still chasing down. Cope finds the route, and here's Incon looking for the stun as well. Good defense. Molinas will be safe.
And without the cavalry charge and the ultimate from Cope, going to be more aggression.
Ooh.
MLC getting dove on. Tier 2 tower dive happens, but Pain resing himself.
Using his ultimate for himself to knock him onto 4 players on enemy. Alita's still looking for more, but Cope caught out just a little bit. Ouch! Goes the dragon, shattered. Able to take one right after Venenu bites one down. Khaos gets another kill. That's 2 dead on the side of Allegiance, and enemy now have the numbers. They've got a wave, and they're going to push for tier 2.
But Fearno not quite there. Was clearing out a ward. Incon and Weekend can't really hold this. Tier 2 does fall, but has to be careful. This mid Phoenix is about to respawn, and nobody's in position to defend this for enemy.
Yeah, that mid Phoenix likely to go down as enemy instead turn their sights onto the enemy jungle. And there's a pullback from Allegiance. Want to stop the backs as Allegiance realize the dire situation in the mid lane. And right away, Winions will take out that mid Phoenix.
Just bad recognition, I would say, by enemy. They really wanted to group up to make sure that ALG wouldn't catch anybody slipping, so
Sure.
you had to give up the mid Phoenix in response. Now Titan taking a little bit of poke, but doesn't really matter now that the respawns happen.
And here you can see Fearno on the Jing really making use of those explosive bolts. About to build into that crit. Has a short sword online, so a little bit of crit baked in at the moment. On top of that sort of built-in critical strike for Fearno. So we'll see how enemy are able to bounce back. They're down about 2,000 to 3,000 gold. A very small lead at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's about 23, 24 minutes right now. So enemy, they've been making some good aggressive plays, but they can't always peel it back when they really need to.
Right.
Same thing goes for ALG at times. They've been making some good plays, and then they've been getting caught out of position, specifically around enemy's blue buff when they tried to commit pretty heavily onto both Pain and Marauder. They weren't able to find those kills or any squishies on top.
Here is the separation. I mentioned that they were separated before. They're actually tied up. And the Gold Fury will be the attempt at separation for enemy. Leads are here. Going to be zoned out by Pain just a little bit. 50% on the objective, still being attacked by Jing. Got some help from Khaos on the backside. Ultimate not going to be used. Leashed. Just leashed. Allegiance come right at the nick of time. Ready to steal it away. Enemies say absolutely not and just turn around.
Pain was doing a good job zoning. Fearno was not confident enough to continue pulling the gold, and now all of ALG gonna position themselves in mid.
But they're coming around
underneath.
backside. Ooh, Pain's well aware of the communication from Khaos. Very important right there. Pain gets dash through, that slow down, and body block. Stun is good as well. Up on the horses, Incon looking for more. Turning around, understanding the exit is brought by Khaos, but can the damage be done soon? And it will be forcing the Khepri to use the ultimate on himself.
A new ultimate, is it enough though? Pain being able to survive, barely having to use the meditation only on himself. Marauder getting poked out by Venenu, and now this is going to be ALG's chance to maybe force out the gold, but they're thinking about bigger things.
Yeah, not even looking for it. They want to cross the street and head towards Fire Giant. You can see MLC Stealth leading the charge right there on the Nua. Going to take out the right side Harpies, and the rest of his team go directly to FG. Cope and Incon thinking about it.
They know that through space and time is down on top, so they don't have to worry about the second life from Pain. His ultimate's down as well.
So now everybody on Allegiance trying to wrap around and find the back door for enemy. They want to get the flank on. Can't really just see it just yet. Marauder root off the mark. Pain's certainly on. Catches 3. And a little bit of follow-up damage puts Cope down to half HP. Shadow throws some more at him. He's still sitting about 45.
That was a great route, forcing out the purification from Venenu. And this time it's going to be enemy on the aggression. They're forcing Allegiance on the right-hand side. They're going to force the Fire Giant?
Looking more for the fight, I think, Totally, but instead 50% on the Fire Giant. There's the leash, or there's the zone, rather, still not leashing. This is full commit. Fire Giant gonna go down, but it's stolen! It's taken by enemy the entire time. Snuck, there it goes, and now everybody looking for the kills. Marauder, low, being attacked by Cope. Fearno gets a kill on the top side, while Marauder tries to deal with Cope alongside Khaos. Shattered, gonna deal out some trouble. There's Fearno's exit, and Khaos able to take out Cope with the help of the jungle and the solo on the front side.
Jungler and Hunter zoning out 4 members from ALG is not something you're normally used to seeing. And on top of this, Incon dies right off the bat. Cope had no possible chance of diving that backline. He was met with 3 members from enemy. Enemy with the Fire Giant now, they should be able to defend their mid, no problem. There's so many towers for them to take now.
You know, enemy taking away the Fire Giant there. It's been so commonplace to bait that I think the non-bait is now the bait. Players expect you to step off of the Fire Giant and take the fight. And by enemy just staying on the Fire Giant, hell, I called it was a steal, and it was the team that stuck to it from the first get-go. That, like I said, it's the non-action has become the action.
Whenever you see the cavalry charge and the Typhoon coming, you're expecting like, hey, these are 2 big ultimates that you have to respect. Enemy, instead, they just position themselves far enough away that they're not going to get hit by those 2 ultimates, but far enough that they still leash the Fire Giant. They were very confident that they were able to secure it, and on top of this, they're going to be on the aggression now, positioning themselves in mid.
Looking for the tier tower pushes coming out in the mid lane.
But somebody has to defend right. Venenu is split pushing.
Yeah, grouping up as 4. It's going to be the race rather than the defense at the moment. You can see 4 players in the mid, and on the left, Shattered sneaking up that left-hand side, but Venenu likely to get himself a Phoenix if nobody knows.
He could backdoor the mid Phoenix if he wanted to.
Shattered's there.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Shattered will take care of him instead. Enemy now 4 players on 4 players in the mid lane. Fire Giant in tow as well.
Man, I really wish I saw Venenu just backdoor that middle Phoenix, because the way the rotation from Shattered was going towards right, he didn't even really, there's no vision around there. It was the vision from ALG, but aggression in mid.
Incon's got the vision in the mid lane. Fearno going to be forced out by use of the ultimate. Everybody on enemy all running away. ALG find a taunt, and the damage being dished out towards enemy. They're the one with the Fire Giant, but Allegiance are the one with the aggression. Doesn't matter that they're down, they're certainly not out. Susanor finds a double knockup, but a pluck onto Copebby. That's going to be trouble, but a better stun saves the life. Thank you, Venenu.
So much sustained from enemy. They also have the Khepri ultimate, not worried about any damage from ALG. They didn't have Shattered in the beginning of the team fight because he had to worry about Venenu's potential split push, his potential backdoor mid Phoenix. Recognizing this, Allegiance forces the team fight 5-on-4, but the damage from enemy is just too much.
And there's a good pull coming out from Susanor. Allegiance still ready to fight.
They have the sustain from Incon. They could potentially fight. They had double meditation that was used by Weekend and Cope. Not having those cooldowns is very hard for them to try to survive now, though. They have to give up this tier 2 and defend Phoenixes.
Left side cleaned up by Shattered. Mid side cleaned up by the rest of enemy. Still looking for these pushes.
Shattered trying to poke out Cope just a little bit. He doesn't have any crowd control immunities. Could be a very easy target to find that execute and open the door for this Phoenix Siege.
Enemy wrapping around, 5 players deep, Marauder leading the charge. Pain on the right side, watching out for the flank. Everybody's still aware the Phoenix is the target. Weekend gets poked out a little bit. Good shot from Khaos.
That was about 20% of his life off of that one ability. Now forced to go to the fountain. Enemy still being very patient. The through space and time is available. They could position themselves right here, all 5 of them, and then look through the mid-aggressive play.
That we've seen that one a number of times on teams that draft the Janus Allegiance. Now full defensive on the middle Phoenix, but everybody from enemy on the left-hand side. The old okey doke play, no defense available. Instead it'll be the counter initiation. Phoenix goes down, but now the fight is abound. Everybody on Allegiance looking for something off of the knockup from the jungle. Jumping forward is Marauder. Weekend gets the kill on the Khaos. Great play as MLC Stealth cleans up Shattered. 2 deaths already. Still looking for Pain right now. Surrounded. He's toasted. MLC Stealth with 2. Allegiance on the good side. They lose their Phoenix, but they win the team fight, baby.
That's all they really need to do. They're going to continue the pressure up to mid. They might go for the end. It's a weakened Phoenix in mid. Now they have 2 towers
40,
remaining. The respawn timers are very long for enemy, but this Titan, it's not going to be that easy to take out. There's still 2 towers on left.
Still a lot of HP. Tower's not the focus. Mid Phoenix going to go down by sneezing at it. Right side still available. We'll take a look. Allegiance surging forward. They've got a Chronos, totally. These Phoenixes are just wet paper. Going for the Titan now. One of the greatest things about Chronos, sustained damage. Can 10,000 damage be dealt in 20 seconds? What's the answer, Tully?
The answer is going to be ALG. The first game of the day for them. They're going to be able to take it.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Great answer.
Brilliant play.
Great answer from Allegiance. Come right on down, take out 3 players towards the end. Incredible. Incredible just understanding the window that was open and then seizing the opportunity.
So between both of these teams, they've been aggressive from the get-go. They've been overextending and then getting punished. But now finally, after those 3 kills, the respawn timers were just too much for enemy to handle. With that weakened mid-Phoenix, ALG just instantly capitalizing on it and getting the win.
Very smart play all around, and what wound up being intelligence is what wound up winning the game for the guys on Allegiance, but they were intelligent the entire time throughout the map. High intelligence factor, high performance leads them to a high efficiency rating in the jungle as far as that's concerned. We're going to introduce something new to you guys here. We've got map efficiency and combat efficiency. Now, these 2 numbers are an amalgamation. Their back end is brought to you by many different factors. Map efficiency on the left comes down to buffs taken, minions killed, towers taken, etc. Combat efficiency on the other side will be reflected by a number of stats combined like kills, KDA, etc., etc., etc. When it comes down to map efficiency, 88 right now, that's looking very, very strong. You're looking for an average about 70 over the past week or so that we've seen out of the map efficiency. So above average coming out from the guys on enemy, and you can see ALG almost near that sort of midway median, but just not reaching it there. Enemy was able to demand dominance over the map for the majority of the game. And despite that, ALG able to answer back with the win.
And it was just that 8 points at the end was all credited to those 3 important kills, finding them. They just overcommitted too hard on the left side Phoenix. And look at the post-game stats specifically, just so much damage between these 2 hunters, both Venenu and Fearno. They've been really on point this game.
Right, and looking at the post-game here, I think it really tells the tale of how enemy was winning this game pretty much for the entirety, right? Even in the early game when ALG were able to make a good couple of plays, we saw a little bit of a lead for ALG and then answered back by enemy. You saw that in the map efficiency, 88. They just won the majority of the game. And then last team fight, ALG bites back too hard. Doesn't matter. You can be as efficient as you want over the map. If you lose that last team fight, you can lose the game.
That's all that matters. And now ALG sneaking one under enemy's nose without their main starter quite yet either. So they're still struggling a little bit. They need to figure out a way to get wins off of their aggression because they've been on point. It's just overstepping their boundaries and getting bit as a result.
Exactly. Now let's break down this map efficiency number a little bit more. You can see enemy 88 as opposed to ALG 64. Best reflected, let's take a look at some of our jungle control that we have here as well. You could look at how much, well, right now, a little bit problematic. But
that's at
basically,
0 minutes.
Whoa, there's the growth. And that's what we're talking about. You had 43% map control at just 5 minutes. This is map control at 5 minutes, and then we'll see this grow on as the game continues. Look at this shift. You can see ALG are running the early game. This is what they were able to do with that weakened Susanor and find the help onto Cope in the solo lane. And as we shift over to the mid to late game, 15 to 20 minutes, slowly, enemies start inching forward. It's not all about weakening Cope, and enemy are able to take up a little bit more.
And then as the game progresses, that fire giant that was started by enemy is where things really started to shift into enemy's favor, controlling that. On top of that, going for the left side, Phoenix helped them out a little bit.
Yeah, see, look at that large jump. Obviously, 100% for Fire Giant. That's not the large jump. It's the 53 to 47 jump when they were previously tied. Now continuing, you can see that's the Phoenix that goes down, and the final map control, Phoenix taken down by enemy. Great job. 56% of the map belongs to enemy, but again, it doesn't matter who owns the map. It matters who owns the Titan. And ALG answer back in that last fight.
And that's all they really need to do, controlling the better objective at the end of the game. ALG, I just love their synergy from the very beginning of their strategies, going for the aggressive soul laners between Cope and Marauder. You know, it's Ravana against Erlang, Shen, so of course they're going to be battling it out. The first jungler to make an appearance there was weakened for a majority of the game, and as a result, we saw Cope just being 2 levels ahead for a majority.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. Very, very fun stuff going on in that fight, in that match specifically. And I'm glad that. So this is the game that we get to introduce our efficiency ratings. The guys have been working on it for a while. They've been monitoring our game. They've been monitoring, the games the past couple of weeks or week number 1 of the SPL to sort of figure out where that middle line is going to stand and everything. So basically, it's just an amalgamation. It's a new stat for Smite that's going to start to define what teams do and give us another example of how dominant teams are. And this was a very cool game to introduce it in because map efficiency and all the good stuff wound up going on the loser's side because the final match or the final team fight winds up in ALG's favor. Lovely illustration.
And always having those post-game stats, no matter who you are, whether you're a player, spectator, or us as casters, it's always nice to look at that at the end game just to see where there's separation between, whether it's the solo lane or the hunter lane, whatever it is specifically. This is allowing teams in general to feed off of your previous games and learn from it and grow.
Right, exactly. And just a refresher, if you want the sports reference from me, sure, it's like QBR in the NFL. But at the end of the day, what we do is we take all the important stuff from the teams. A map efficiency rating, one more time, is broken down by a number of stats, some of which that include minions killed, towers killed, invades, non-invades, defensive invades, etc. All of those things come together to create one big static number that we can sort of toss at you. Combat efficiency is going to do the same, and perhaps we'll break that down at a later time. But for now,